Try That, the beer review and news podcast.
Here in London.
Ding dong.
I was thinking about this last night in bed.
Smashed it. Brew for success.
As a soon-to-be fur daddy. Another one in the bag.
I'm vetoing that.
We're sailing out, like the pilgrims, to Portland, Maine, to enjoy Shipyard's American Pale Ale. But first, the hop topic.
We're talking about BrewDog again.
Again?
Again?
Joe.
Always seem to be making the news.
BrewDog.
Do you really like BrewDog, Joe?
I'm
Joe.
a bit of a fan.
We're not aware, but I think you like BrewDog.
Brew who?
Brew? Oh, no. Don't.
Okay, so back on topic.
Yeah.
The hop topic, to be precise.
Simmer, did that come out your nose?
That did come out his nose. Okay,
I'm cool.
we're in now. We're in. Okay, so BrewDog has just recently lost its legal battle with Elvis Presley.
Isn't he dead?
He is dead.
Zach,
You're right.
Hang on.
Astute observation.
Is there a ghost of Elvis Presley?
No. So Elvis Presley's estate. So these are the people who manage his estate.
Who own his name.
Yeah, they own. They're called Elvis Presley Enterprises, and they own his estate. They own his brand. They own all that stuff, which they basically sell them things. They have been opposing a trademark application that BrewDog put in back in 2016 for their Elvis Juice beer.
Why?
So they're saying that basically it's too you can't use Elvis as your name. That you are basically trying to sell a beer on our name, Elvis's name, and that's your.
How does it affect them though?
Well, it's ownership.
Yeah.
It's legal.
Yeah.
It's money. It means a lot of things. What if they don't like what BrewDog are doing? They don't have anything in control over that. But they're using your name. They don't have any control over that. It's control. Basically, someone's like someone using Simo. You are Simo, and someone else is pretending to be you.
Evil.
Exactly. So that's their position.
I don't know who would want to do that, but
Yeah. But
Thank you.
what's fascinating about this legal battle's been going on, I said, since 2016. It's gone through lots of different levels of the UK courts, the European courts. This latest ruling is from the EU courts. But what's funny about this is that the BrewDog founders changed their names legally by deed poll to Elvis. So that they could say that the beer was about them and not about Elvis
Amazing.
Presley.
That is fantastic.
and that didn't work for them. That's a solid
It didn't
idea.
work. So basically,
imagine changing a name and going, yeah, it didn't work anyway.
Yeah.
Elvis Juice is about me, Elvis, the founder of BrewDog,
Yeah.
not
I
Elvis
am
Presley.
Elvis. What? Your name is just Elvis? Yeah, just Elvis. There's
That
no
is-
last or middle name.
I mean, that is a way to go above and beyond to try and save a name of a beer. I
that
mean,
is
yeah.
fantastic.
Elvis Juice as a drink is
I've
really
legally
popular.
changed my name, so have at it. Yeah. And so that didn't work.
No, so the EU, the office that deals with all this kind of trademark stuff, basically they came back with this very stereotypical lawyer statement.
Yeah.
Okay, so they need to they're demonstrating peaceful existence on the pertinent market. Long story short, it possesses a likelihood for confusion. Elvis Juice, Elvis Presley, Elvis, the founders of BrewDog. It's too close to home.
Yeah.
Such a shame.
So-
Such a shame.
Unfortunately, BrewDog have been landed with and been ordered to pay the case courts.
Pay it.
Yeah, they have to pay all the case courts. They've lost this. They have to pay it.
Do we know how much?
I do. How much do you think it is?
Okay.
I'm gonna go 3.5 million
Okay.
That's quite hefty.
What currency are we in?
dollars.
Okay. Even though it's an EU case. Okay, that's
Yep.
cool.
I'm going to go £2.5 million.
2.5, and we've got 3.5
Yeah,
and 2.5 million pounds.
dollars.
Your dollars, your pounds.
Just to confuse it. Okay.
To make it even more confusing, this is in euros.
Okay, let's go euros.
No, don't worry, it's fine.
No.
3.5 million euros.
2.5 million euros.
How could I not see that happening?
Yeah.
They've been ordered to pay 1,170 euros in legal fees.
Is that it?
Is that it? Oh. Okay, well, it's not even a story. Let's move on. And now for some Pursuit of Hoppiness.
So this week we are in Portland, Maine, in the US of A, talking about Shipyard. And specifically, we're going to be talking about their American Pale Ale. So American Pale Ale, so it's about the hops. It's about being brewed in America. And it is very much a craft beer and a craft brewer. So Shipyard Brewing Company, who makes this American Pale Ale, is a brewery and a soft drink manufacturer in Portland, Maine. It's founded in 1994. Shipyard is the largest brewer in the state of Maine. So that's a big area.
So, as in Maine's is like...
It's a state.
Which is probably bigger than England, isn't it, actually? Most states are.
No, I don't think Maine's not that big. It's on the northeast.
Okay.
So it's all that kind of like that populated area. We've got Rhode Island around there. You've got Maine. It's well known for it's on the sea, obviously.
It's one of the. It's got a lot of history of America, isn't it?
Well, it's where the pilgrims landed in Maine.
Exactly.
So it's it's New England is the very kind of is the oldest part of America. Yeah, I would say it's got that thing, and actually Maine is known for its seafood. So clam chowder, lobster. These kind of very seafood oriented. I mean, this makes a lot more sense given that it's like Shipyard is on the sea. So Shipyard is the fourth largest microbrewery in New England, which is the whole area up there, after Boston Beer Company. You might have heard of those guys.
Yeah.
Harpoon Brewery.
Not heard of them, actually.
Huge in the States.
I've heard of Harpoon.
Yeah,
huge.
About it, yeah. And Magic Hat Brewing Company. Okay. Again, another big one.
Just a question. When does a brewing company, a microbrewery, become a macro?
Again, I think it's a scale thing.
Yeah.
I think they're still proud. And these are their words they're using of microbrewery. And how they're trying to do it. Like, they're trying to keep the volume down. It's all the volume. How much volume are you making?
Yeah.
As in, so quality over. Yeah.
But maybe. No, it's just a volume thing. I think you can have good quality macro breweries. We've had macro great quality beers.
Yeah.
It's just a size thing. And as you said, they're kind of growing at this point. So the key man who kind of kicked it off was Fred Forsley.
That's a solid name as well.
Solid name.
Love an alliterated name.
Fred Forsley.
Yeah.
And I think one last thing to say about kind of Portland and Portland, Maine as well. The Portland Headlight, which is a big lighthouse, which dates back to 1791 and is the oldest lighthouse still in continuous use in the US.
That's cool.
It's a fun Portland-related fact.
Love a lighthouse.
Is that a fact fun, Joe?
That's a fun fact for you.
Has to be fun.
I like lighthouses.
So, talking about the fact you talk about Fred Forsley, I think it's really important that you don't just talk about Fred Forsley, who is a massive entrepreneur. There's also a master brewer called Alan Pugsley. What a fantastic name that is. And you said it was the company founded in 1994, whilst in 1992, these two gentlemen made a restaurant called the Federal Jack's Restaurant and Brew Pub in 1992. Now, Alan Pugsley is a very interesting man. He actually moved to America from England, so he's an Englishman, and he learnt to brew a legendary man called Peter Austin, who was from the Ringwood Brewery in Hampshire, England. Now, that means that he's learnt his trade and he's come out to America and he's worked with someone to create what is the American Pale Ale. So he's learnt his trade in what would be England, which is very...
Where the Pale Ale comes from.
The Pale Ale comes from. So it's not as if he's kind of just making it from afresh. He's learnt from a legend and become a legend himself.
So I think it's important to note that this company has driven the craft beer movement in the US. They claim it on their website, on their cans.
First, aren't they?
They're the first to, that's what they're saying.
Yeah.
That's a big old claim.
It is a big claim. Yeah. But I think it shows in the numbers. I mean, maybe I didn't see too much of Shipyard when I was in the States. But I was also in a very dominated, around that kind of East Coast. But there was a lot of breweries around the New York area that dominated the beer scene there.
I have quite an interesting fact from 2008. I know it's a long time ago, but they claim that in 2008 they were making 81,641 barrels across 40 states, and that was in 2008. So they are claiming there, right then and there, that we are across America.
How many barrels was that again?
So 81,641.
How big were the barrels? This is just more curiosity for me.
No idea.
I think a barrel's a set size, isn't it?
Yeah,
for beer?
barrel, like a proper barrel is.
I know you've got like in whiskey, you've got like sherry casks are huge.
Yeah.
And then you've got like hog barrels, which is another size.
Yeah.
I think it's a set barrel size. So it's the stuff you're selling to pubs. So the fact that they're making that many in 2008, So they're well established across America. And I think that's really important.
How many states are there again, Joe?
52.
52.
I think.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that, but I think it's about 52.
52.
Hawaii being one of them.
That's fairly impressive.
Hawaii
to
and
get
Alaska
across.
are also states.
Yeah, to get across 40. So, interestingly, they start. So from 2008, they were in 40 states across America.
Yeah.
But we'll fast forward a little bit. In 2013, that was when Shipyard was permanently released in the UK. So it was brewed by Marston's, or Marston's was the guys who were distributing it.
Which
I was going to say it's the distribution is the key thing there.
But that links to Alan Pugsley, who learnt under a Ringwood brewer. So.
Which is owned by Masters.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So yeah, they started to do that, but they only started off with the 30-litre keg format. So that was to initially get it out into the pubs and to basically start doing it across England and stuff. Then come 2016, Shipyard becomes UK's biggest selling craft kegged beer.
So 3 years. So 3 years
a
of
big
being
claim.
is amazing.
I think for looking at that success, we have to go back to the liquid and the product itself. I mean, we've talked about Alan Pugsley, he's dubbed as one of the most influential people in craft brewing.
Yeah.
In this craft brewing movement.
Well, in America, definitely.
In North America,
yeah.
And they say it goes back to that they only use these top quality of ingredients. They pride themselves on the consistency and freshness of their products, and all beer is handcrafted from recipes developed by this master brewer, Alan Pugsley. So looking at the products themselves, I mean, they have, what we're drinking right now, the American Pale Ale. It's not actually listed on their website, so I wonder if it's specifically sold here in the UK. Not really sure on that.
No.
It's got a lager, double IPA, a New England IPA, an American Pale Ale, a 4X IPA, which is a non-traditional American IPA. So it's 9.25%.
Whoa, okay.
And they've said that it's best enjoyed at 55 degrees Fahrenheit.
What is that in Celsius? Fact man, what is 55? Come on.
He'll look that up. Yeah. So I think what's quite fun about this brewery is that they have obviously all these different beers. They have a craft beer. There's a lot of ales in there, a lot of IPAs. They've got this lager as well. It's a wide portfolio. I mean, some of their other brews is called
so diverse, isn't it?
Yeah. There's another one here called a Mango Maui. A Maui Mango?
Mango.
Yeah.
I mean, I've also looked into the fact that they have, I know a lot of companies do this, but the seasonal beers and the fact that in March, they like to present the Melon Head, which is a 4.4%. And then between June and September, they like the Summer Ale. And then they have the February to May, which is the Island Time IPA. So they've got such a wide spread of beers, haven't they?
Well, we all know it's coming up to Halloween, right? So it's the time of Halloween, and we know you might know how important Halloween is to North America.
Have you got your costume sorted, Joe?
Yeah, I'll probably reuse an old one, which is not actually allowed in the States. I think you definitely have to have a new costume every single year, especially anyway. Why I bring this up is because going back to what you were saying about limited brews or seasonal yearly brews, they're bringing out one called Shipyard are bringing out a smashed pumpkin, which is very orange, as you can imagine, and a pumpkin head ale. Now, important.
So two different ones.
Two different beers.
Interesting.
Smashed pumpkin is a new one for this year. Hasn't been done before.
Okay.
Whereas the pumpkin head ale is comes out every year. This thing. Now, it's important to note why pumpkin head ale, why it's such a staple for and synonymous with Shipyard, Halloween, because they have a Halloween mascot called Pete.
What, as in Shipyard have their own Halloween mascot?
Yeah.
Called Pete.
And he only comes out once a year for Halloween.
Halloween. And it's I'm giving you a bit of a hint here what his full name is. He's called Pete.
Pete the Pumpkin.
And it's a pumpkin head ale. What do you think his actual name is?
Scarecrow. Pete the Scarecrow. No. Pete the Pumpkin Head.
So it's a pumpkin head ale.
Yeah.
It's got a Halloween mascot called Pete. What do you think his name is?
Pete the Peregrine Falcon.
Okay.
I feel like
I really felt like there's probably some listeners now screaming down on their headphones going,
Was I closer?
No.
Damn it.
He's called Pumpkin Pete.
I said Pumpkinhead Pete. I was closer than you. That's just,
I don't know what we're doing with this section anymore. This has gone all off in a tangent. Right. So how they're using Pumpkin Pete. He's got a lot of their socials really fun around this. What they're doing, there's lots of interaction with people on their on-site presence. Yeah. People sending in photos and tagging Shipyard. There's a lot of engagement, high levels of engagement here.
So it's like a proper official, like amazing.
People want to be like the community's strong within
Do
this.
you reckon people dress up as him?
No, Pumpkin Pete is a person. They might do. Yeah, he might have actual people, copycat copies. You mean?
Yeah.
Actually, that's a really good point. Yeah, it must be. And there's some YouTube videos of Pumpkin Pete as well by the ship, so we can put those links in there. But it does feel like they are posting quite regularly for Brewer on YouTube.
That's cool.
That's good.
It's really good. It's this craft scene, but they've been around a little while now, but they're high engagement.
Talking about the craft scene, I think we should talk about the can itself, because if you read down the side, it actually talks about the fact that they are proud pioneers of original American craft. Now, putting that on a can, I think, is very bold. It's very. I'm not sure if it's brave. They probably don't see it as brave because they see themselves as the pioneers of craft. And as you said, they say that they're the first ones to do it.
Well, some of the facts you were throwing out earlier about their growth and their rate and stuff like that, and I think they can claim it. I think they can go, yes, we are that. We are the pioneers. I think it's a claim they can make.
It's interesting though, because it's like Shipyard. I mean, you even just in the New England area, you talk about Boston Beer Company, you talk about Harpoon as well. Shipyards actually hadn't ever come up on my radar.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I don't know why that is.
Have you had Shipyard before?
I've had Shipyard a few times because it was one of the guest ales in Wetherspoons for a long time.
Awesome.
So, and it was relatively well priced. So yeah, I've sampled it a fair few times, and I've brought it myself. To drink as well.
So going back to, I think, looking at the design of it, obviously Shipyard is just in red.
Yeah.
You've got blue on the can.
And then the white background.
And majority white. So it's linking back to the American flag. It's
Massively.
This is their American pale ale.
And they like to underline and overline the word American. I think they're very proud of that fact, which is, of course, it's where they're from. Of course, they've been proud. Now,
I've only just noticed all the etching in the back as well. Absolutely fantastic.
Is that? I'm guessing that's the coastline, is it, of Maine? I'm guessing. Well, it has to be.
Well, it's representative of the.
So, and obviously they've got a ship on it now. The ship itself is, I'm guessing, iconic. It has to be. If you're going to call yourself a Shipyard Pale Ale, you need to have some sort of ship on the logo.
Yeah, but it's an old-fashioned ship. This isn't a modern ship. This is like one that you would get at a certain time period, right?
Yeah.
This is one where you'd have sailed over. It's a wind-assisted sailing ship. This hasn't got an engine on it.
A sailboat.
There you go. What is the difference between a sailboat, motorboats, all that stuff? Okay, it's got a motor on it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd like to ask them, because they actually very boldly put like their facts on the sideline. If you look at the back of the can, they talk about the fact that the smell is grapefruit/lemon. Now, is that? And then they talk about the fact
before you read more on that, give us your first thoughts on it.
I like it. I think it's quite interesting, but it does actually dry me out a little bit.
I'm a fan of the dryness.
Okay.
I quite like it, and I see where you're coming from, but I do enjoy a dry ale. It starts off quite mellow and then gets a bit punchy.
Like kicks.
When you
I'm
have
really
it.
pleased that's exactly how I've been feeling about it. It starts off like, oh, this is a nice, goes down well, and then suddenly there's a wall.
Yeah.
Like,
what is this?
Yeah.
And you said there that they talk about it about grapefruit, kind of zesty, lemony, citrus in beer, like
Classic.
It dries your mouth out.
Yeah.
We get that, but it's sharp.
Well,
almost.
It doesn't actually claim that so it only gives itself 2 out of 5 stars for sweet and 3 out of 5 stars for bitter. So it knows what it is. It's not claiming to be super smooth. It's not claiming to be like, it knows that it's going to give you a bit of a kick. It does know that. And it's a nice beer, but I personally don't think I could have a lot of these. As in, I couldn't have 2 or 3. I think I'd have it and I'd enjoy it, but I wouldn't have a lot. Personally,
I think as a sampling, a tasting of this is really nice, but it's that bitter. It's a bitterness. It's going into this. This is not trying to be, as you said, anything other than it's a bitter beer.
It's not trying to hide.
No. I think at that taste palette, it is original. Like I can't say I've had something, and I've had quite a few pale ales, and this is an American pale ale, of course, but it is quite unique. This beer,
it definitely feels like a craft beer.
Yeah.
It's
completely.
It's definitely an individual flavour.
Yeah.
I can't pinpoint anything similar.
If I'm honest, this is getting me like peppery notes. You know, like I'm getting such like because of that bite. You know, it's got that. You know, I know they're calling it bitterness, but for me, it's a bite. It's that aftertaste of like you want to go like sip in your like a little bit.
So I've got a question for you. So a lot of craft beer is 330 milliliters. Now a Shipyard keeps itself at 440 milliliters, which is quite traditional for a canned beer. Now, I think a 330 milliliter for a craft ale is normally what is enough for me, as in for
volume-wise.
Volume-wise. Now, what are your thoughts on the fact that they have stayed at 440?
Because it's an interesting choice because it's very rare that you see these craft beers in these cans, but it's not like they're a very new brewery. They're not old.
But are they trying to be traditional? Sorry,
I think they've found something that works, and I think they haven't had any complaints. Are you happy with the volume? Yeah,
of the 440.
I'm happy with the volume. I like it. I would drink this, and I like the size of it. It's good.
I just find it interesting how they haven't like geared towards that compared to the rest of their competitors, because they claim to be this original craft.
I think they've gone for a point of they have paved the way. They've pioneered the way for a lot of this industry, the craft beer industry. So they're not saying that they've done absolutely everything right. I think we can have to look at it in the vein that they're doing things first.
Yeah.
You're going to do stuff which works. You're going to do a lot of things that don't work. I think the 440 ml, a lot of newer craft brewers or other craft brewers have gone, that's too much volume for what we're doing with our liquid. So this works for Shipyard. They've decided to do it in the 440, but actually to judge it against what other brewers are doing now doesn't necessarily mean that these guys are doing it wrong or
of course,
the other guys. I just think that they're doing what they're doing. They're the pioneers. They're just doing it.
Yeah.
And other brewers are going, okay, well, I'll learn what's happening with Shipyard. 440 ml. That's what the rest of the beer category are kind of doing.
Yeah.
That's what people expect, but actually we're different. We're a craft brewer. We're differentiating ourselves in different ways. And I think that's interesting. That is an interesting way. I hadn't really thought about it in that way before.
The one thing I would say as well is when I look at the can, which is it's not in your face. It's very kind of subtle.
Yeah.
However, it's amazing. It's almost like a surprise in a can because of it. Because it's a subtle flavour, as in it's a subtle look, and you drink it and it's not a subtle flavour. And I think the fact that they're subtle, yet when you drink it, it gives you a kick, is almost a great surprise when you're drinking it.
Yeah.
So I think, again, it's a really clever choice for them, I think.
I actually like looking at the design and it's got ship on it. It's not like a quirky craft beer company. This is a staple, traditional craft. If we can even use those words, traditional craft beer microbrewery. It doesn't seem to make any sense, but that's how they are. They've been around and they've pioneered this movement of craft in the US.
Yeah,
and they're very proud of that. It's a traditional micro craft brewery.
They're happy and it works.
So Instagram, they're 25k followers.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Is that everywhere?
Just the US version.
Yeah.
It's just everywhere.com. So
So
US
they haven't
one.
tried to split it. Or anything like that.
No, you won't see that very often.
Yeah.
It's in this market, and then Twitter is 28k.
Okay.
So they've got
consistent
big followings,
Consistent. They've got a big old following.
which makes sense to you given that they've been around in the
So
craft
long,
beer
yeah.
scene from the very beginning, and they've grown. And you were seeing all those numbers again, if you can remember them, for the UK, where they are now in the UK. They've grown exponentially
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, crazy.
in the UK with their craft. I mean, they are, as you said, like in the US anyway, they're ranked the 25th largest craft beer company.
Nice.
And that's all we have time for from this week's episode of the I'll Try That podcast. And so from me, Joe,
Rich.
And Simo.
goodbye. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram.
Twitter.
And watch us on YouTube.
Goodbye now. Always drink responsibly. And if you or anyone else needs some help, go to drinkaware.co.uk for more information.